Episode 3, Full Metal Scientist. And it's your boy Icon with a DC animated TV review for you. And right out the gate, this episode should have been called The Precursor because they didn't teased about 7 people, like future heroes, villain. Like there was there were so many Easter eggs that weren't Easter eggs. It was crazy. And I'm gonna say this: in the very, very, very beginning of the episode, it starts with Livewire, who is attacking a there was a lot of black people too in this episode. Livewire attacked a black male scientist. And when she threw him out on the street and she was going to wipe his memory clean, when I looked at the guy, because I'm like, okay, so clearly like this guy means something. He's going to be something like later on. Is it just me, or does he look exactly like Brick from Titans? Like, if you remember Brick from Titans, he looks like, I thought something was going to happen where they were going to inject this guy with some chemical stuff and he was going to turn into Brick and end up becoming the villain Brick. But I was wrong, and it's weird, the beard and everything looked just like Brick, but instead of being Brick, it turns out he's Silas Stone. Like, he's like Victor Stone's father. So I'm just like, okay, we got a Silas Stone reference, which means Victor Stone has to be somewhere around the corner. So we're going to get Cyborg pretty soon. And then we roll over to Amertech, where Amertech just laid out some brand new robot technology. And the robot technology that they laid out, it's called the Metallo Project. And it doesn't run on kryptonite. So I'm just like, okay, so we've already got the precursor to Metallo. We just got Silas Stone. The person who is in charge of doing of creating the robots, building the robots, the head person in charge of doing the Metallo robots is none other than John Henry Irons, Dr. John Henry Irons. And I said, goddamn. I said, goddamn. So now we done got Steel, we done got Cyborg, we done got Silas Stone, and we got him looking like Brick Daddy. But so, and then here's another thing. The little black girl who was a part of the Flamebird crew, the 11-year-old, they kept calling her Flip. She's John Henry Irons' niece, and her real name is Natasha. So if you watch Superman and Lois, John Henry Irons has a daughter, and his daughter's name is Natalie. On this one, he has a niece, and his niece's name is Natasha. So now we got Mini Steel, because she's already shown signs of being a genius. Just well, in this case, just like her uncle. Because when the episode started, it started with Lois's dad because he's at Kenton, like Jimmy House. He's eating up all their food. He's making a mess of everything. He's tearing up the house. He's a slob. Jimmy was kind of pissed off about it. I don't know why Jimmy still lives with Clark when he's rich, but he was on the phone with Clark. Clark had just saved the day because he actually rescued Silas Stone from Livewire. He went to go help, and when he came back, he didn't have a change of clothes. Lois's dad was in the living room, so he told Jimmy to throw his clothes out the window. So while he was doing that, Jimmy was on the phone. He was talking to Flip, and Flip was just like, "Oh, can I go do news reports? Can I report on dangerous robots and stuff?" And he was like, "Hell no." And then she said, "But I have a helicopter that I built that has Wi-Fi and communications and a weapon." The girl built a mini helicopter, a drone helicopter that has its own weapon system and its own communication system. So I'm just like, yeah, she's gonna have a steel suit pretty soon. And then Jimmy was just like, "No, you're not doing it." So then he goes to work. Clark comes in. Her and Lois's dad basically chews him up and spits him out. And then after that, Clark has to go to work because he also has an article he needs to write for Perry. Later on in the episode, Lois Lane now, she was reporting on the Amertech, presentation of the Metallo robots. And then she noticed that John Henry Irons wasn't there. Vicky Vale was also there. And Vicky Vale has shown up so much at this point. Batman has to be I can't understand why so far, if Superman is around, if we have a Man of Steel, and Vicky Vale is all over the place reporting in Metropolis on Superman, why has she not even mentioned Batman? Because I know she's doing Batman reports in Gotham. So anyway, so now the two of them, both Vicky Vale and Lois, they're trying to investigate on Amertech. John Henry Irons has mysteriously disappeared. They want to know why. They don't, like the person in charge, he's like, "I ain't telling you shit." So both Vicky and Lois, they sneak into the building, and now the two of them are in a competition to try to get the story and try to get the scoop. When they can't get the story that they want, then they find out that John Henry Irons and Silas Stone, they both worked on, on the robots together. Like they both worked on the Metallo project. So both Lois and Vicky find that out, and then they go down to John Henry Irons' house to go talk to him. So then meanwhile, there was a moment where Flip had called Jimmy, and then she told Jimmy that there was something going on with killer robots. So Jimmy grabbed Superman, and the two of them went down to John Henry Irons' house to go talk to him. So now Superman and Jimmy, they're talking to John Henry Irons. Natasha's there. I'm not calling her Flip no more. Like Natasha's there. He ends up telling Superman everything about how the robots had a problem because he said that when the robots are turned on, when multiple robots are turned on at the same time, they pull too much solar power from the solar power building source and then they explode. He said that they told the guy that the man who was in charge, they told him that. And then he was just like, no, he said, let's still roll out with the program anyway. And he fired Silas Stone and he fired John Henry Irons. But John Henry Irons actually had their conversation on film, on tape, where he was telling him not to do it. But then that's when Livewire and then Vicky Vale and Lois Lane showed up. So now the whole gang is here because they went to go talk to Irons. Everybody's there now talking to Irons. And then that's when Livewire shows up to basically kill him. Superman shows up and tries to stop her. And then she was just like, well, screw it. If I can't kill John Henry Irons, she just blew up his computer. And when she blew up his computer, that destroyed the evidence that John Henry Irons had against Amertek. And why did this man not back this up? And I'm disappointed in Natasha for this because the girl built a helicopter that can report on the news. Why would you not back up? Like, if you have footage that can bust Amertek for being the criminals that you know them are, why did no one think to make a copy of this information? This blew my, that was the only thing about the episode I didn't like because I was just like, for some smart people, y'all are really dumb. And then, then after that, the Livewire dips. She goes back to Amertek. Well, actually, no, she didn't go to Amertek. She basically dipped. She just ran away, and then she didn't, we never saw her again. And then Superman ends up flying back to Amertek. John Henry Irons goes with him because the robots ended up being activated. When the robots got activated, they were like taking over the city. Superman was trying to stop the robots, but he was struggling. And then John Henry Irons, he went into Amertek and he jumped into one of the robot suits that didn't have the computer technology in it yet. And when he jumped into the suit that didn't have the computer technology in it, he put the suit on, he picked up a metal hammer, and then he went outside and both Steel and Superman fought the robots. And I was like, this is some cool ass shit. So now we got Steel and the Man of Steel. They're fighting the robots. Superman went up to the tower to try to stop, the energy source from blowing up. John Henry tried to destroy it at the bottom. And Superman's doing this weird thing because when he fought Livewire and when he fought the robots and when he was trying to stop the energy source, there's this weird thing now. Whenever he does that, he turns blue. He starts glowing blue, and it hasn't been explained yet why he's glowing blue and why this is happening. So more on that to come. And then after that happens, John Henry Irons ended up destroying the power source, which stopped the building from exploding. John Henry Irons and Superman saved the day. Lois ended up scooping Vicky Vale on the story because after Vicky Vale wrote her story and sent it to the Gotham Gazette, Lois had told her, she was like, bitch, I've been writing my story throughout the course of this entire episode, and I posted my story 10 minutes ago. So then Vicky tried to offer her a job with the Gotham Gazette, and she was just like, how would you like to be the #2 reporter at the Gotham Gazette? And I'm like, that sounds like an insult, but she thought about it because she always wanted to work with Vicky, and then Vicky was like, well, take my card and think it over, because she said you don't want to get stuck in Metropolis forever. You would want, you would basically want to like go up. So now she's thinking about that. There was a moment during the episode when Jimmy, Lois, and Vicky and Natasha, when they got to the Amertek building where Superman and John Irons were, they couldn't get in. And then Jimmy said something like, oh, I think I have an idea of how we can get in. And as soon as Jimmy said that, I said, Lord, this boy about to lose more money. But apparently, this particular episode, Jimmy ain't spent no bread. So he should be good. But like I said, he was spending it like wildfire in the first 2 episodes. So that was that. Yeah, so then like Superman and Lois ended up talking. And then she, he still wanted to talk to her about the Beacon because we still didn't get Supergirl yet. And she wanted to talk to him about taking a job in Gotham, but they didn't get a chance to talk to each other. Superman left, he did his article. And when Superman did his article, he wrote the article about John Henry Irons and called him a hero to the city, because he said that not only Superman was here, but, the good citizens of Metropolis banded together and we collectively came together to help save the city. So, he's shedding some light on the whole thing. So we're going to get John Henry Irons at some point. We're going to get Victor Stone. And then in the very end, Lex Luthor showed up and he kicked John Henry Irons off the property because he said that that Amertek is now the official property of, I guess, Amanda Waller and Cadmus, or the company futurely known as LexCorp. And then he said that return the suit, Irons, because I don't want to have to kick you out the building for stealing. He said I don't want to arrest you for stealing. So, but he's going to build his own suit. Like I said, then after that, Lex Luthor and Amanda Waller, they went into a room that had a bunch of Metallo robots in it, which are not powered by kryptonite. So that's going to come. Because I guess what's going to happen is Superman's going to destroy all their Amertech Metallo robots. And then that's when Luthor is going to get the idea of turning an actual human being into Metallo powered by kryptonite. So that's coming. That's how the episode ended. And thank you for tuning in. So this one was cool. This one was cool because they dumped a lot of shit in here. There was a lot of stuff that they dumped in here. I'm very excited to see what happens with Natasha. I'm excited to see when John Henry starts building his own suit. I want to see when Lex eventually goes bald. Because see, now we're at a point where so many cool things are happening on the show. I'm okay if the Supergirl thing drags out a little bit longer, because it seemed like Supergirl was where the show was headed. But now it's just like, we paused for a moment, but the stuff that they're talking about now is just as interesting. So share your questions, comments, and concerns down below, and we will continue to talk about it. Check me out on social media, guys. Check me out on Instagram. Check me out on X. Check me out on TikTok. And as always on YouTube, where you can share your questions, comments, and concerns. Let me know what you thought about this particular episode of My Adventures of Superman. Hit the notification bell, like and or subscribe to my channel, as we will continue to roll on for some more of this superhero goodness. Next week, I'm going to Brooklyn Con, so look out for that collaboration with Otakos and Geek, Imaginative Visions, and Gotham Geek Girl. We're all going to be there, doing some cool stuff, so check it out. More videos to come. Like I said, we're going to keep piling on and on, up, and away. So that was it, guys. So until next week, for some more Superman action, My Adventures with Superman, and apparently the Justice League. Take care, and we're out this.